This lesson is all about the forest set, which is a new feature from Forest Pack 8 onwards. So if you do not have version 8 onwards, you're not going to be able to access forest set. So I do encourage you to upgrade or update your software. So the forest set's a brand new feature which is going to be used to create a multi-purpose container for all of your scene objects. So there's a couple of examples that I'd like to show you, and this is mainly used to have one icon to control multiple scattered surfaces. Now generally what we would do is the follows. Let's grab a forest pack, let's select the spline over there, let's go into the modify tab, let's grab the custom object of the teapot, say yes. For now, as usual, let's grab the display tab and just put it as a mesh, and then I'm going to add another scatter. Let's grab that guy over there. Then what we want to do is, to make it more complex, we can add another forest pack item. Let's grab this guy there, click the geometry custom sphere, and then what I'd like to do here is click there and add it to that one, and then later on in your project you realize you want another one, so you add in there again, and then you realize later that you'd also like this object to scatter in both of those. Now of course you can do what we've always done, is go into the forest pack, come over here, add another one, and then click, and then come back here, click again, and go. So you can definitely do this. The issue is when you have, let's say, 10-20 different splined areas and you working through your scene, but now you realize that you want to add more and more spline areas to your scattering, which means you have to go back into your scatter, find the spline, add the spline. So what forest set is going to do, it's going to act, as I mentioned, a multi-purpose container, meaning the forest set will link to all of the actual splines, and then what you do is you're going to link the forest pack scattered objects to the spline. So let me show you with an example. What I'm going to do is I am actually going to delete all these guys right over here. Let's go into the sphere as well. Let's delete all of these guys as well. Okay, so we've got the two forest pack items and we've got 4 splines that we want to use. I'm going to grab a forest set. So it's this button right over there. And all I'm going to do is just click and drag it. Let's go into the modify tab and we got a very simple layout over here. The first one is the parameters. The plus sign will add, the X will obviously delete, and as we've learned, this one is to add multiple items at once. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to add the first one and the second one and then the third one and then the fourth one. So I'm using the forest set to attach all of the splined areas that I want the items to scatter to. What I'm now going to do is I'm actually going to select the forest pack of the first item, and underneath areas I'm going to add the forest set. Now the reason we're doing it under areas is because I know that this forest set is scattering to all of my splines, and if you remember, splines goes underneath the areas, and as I click on that you'll see that everything is now scattered to the areas that are inside the forest set, which is really awesome, because now if I go into, let's say, the sphere option, I'm going to do the exact same thing, attach that, and now I've got 2 forest packs that are scattering independently in terms of all their settings, but they can be controlled via the forest set. This is very useful because, again, if let's say I'm going to create a brand new scattered spline, instead of going into this forest pack and this forest pack and potentially another 5 or 6 depending how many I got, all I really need to do is just come into the forest set, modify tab, and then add that spline, and it immediately scatters it for you. The exact same concept applies obviously to the surfaces. The forest set just needs to be clicked and dragged. So let's create the forest packs. So the first one will go over here. Same process applies. Let's go into the geometry, custom, click a sphere, say yes. The display tab is a mesh. Forest pack, select the next surface, say yes. Again, we're going to go into the geometry tab, custom object, sphere. And we can obviously add more and more and more onwards, but that's not the way that we're going to work this now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the surfaces. Let's remove the surface, and same concept over here, we're going to remove this surface. So we've got no surface items that we want, but we are going to add this forest set as the surface. Underneath surfaces, we're going to click, let's scroll that up, we're going to grab the plus sign and we're going to attach it to there. Let's grab the next forest pack, go underneath surfaces again, plus sign, forest set. And now all we need to do is underneath the forest set, we're going to add 1, we're going to add 2, we're going to add 3, we're going to add 4. The same concept will apply if I add another plane. Then all I need to do is just grab the forest set and add it. And generally I do like to separate the forest set for all my splined areas and the forest set for all my surfaces areas. Okay, let's go into the next camera, and I'd like to show you another feature we can do. I'm going to grab a forest set, click and drag, click and drag, and click and drag. In the forest set parameter, I'm actually going to add the one box, add another box, and add another box. And what we can actually do here is create our own little bit of a preset. So grab the custom items that you want and actually add them into the forest set themselves. And a handy feature when you're using multiple forest set icons is the following. If I click on the forest set icon, I've got this option here which says use wireframe color. Now the wireframe color will be determined by this color over here. So the actual icon color I can choose right over here. And generally speaking, you can choose any color you want. I tend to pick one that is close enough to the scattered object. So this one over here, use wireframe color. It's a gray. This one over here, I'm going to choose the color that is closest to the object and say use wireframe color. And then I know which icon is actually attached to which object. So now that we've gone through the process, we've got the forest set, we've attached these three objects, and these three objects, what can we do now? Now what we can do is we can actually create a forest pack item. I'm going to click on my rectangle right over there. I'm going to go underneath the parameters over here, and then underneath geometry, I'm going to say select custom item, and I'm going to select that forest pack. I can add another one, select this forest pack, and then another one, select this forest pack. And now what we can do from this point is actually manipulate all three at once in terms of probabilities and global settings. I can add extra areas. So if I just select there, you'll see that all 9 of these items, or rather all 3 of these forest sets, were actually added together. And to control that, all of them are right here, just like your very own preset. Let's click the camera 003 and have a look at the next example. If you are an ArcViz artist and you are using reference points, this is definitely a feature you'll want to use. What we're going to do is we're going to use a forest set to actually control the scattering on all the reference points that you've used. And what makes it really handy is that it's going to come from a layer. So first thing is first, let's have a look at our scene. Layer Explorer. I've got 2 layers. I've got a ref circle and a ref square. I'm going to grab a forest pack. Let's go underneath the icon mode, click and drag. So obviously the first thing we need to do is choose what geometry we are actually going to be scattering, and in this case it's going to be this torus over there. The next thing that's really important is to go underneath distribution, underneath mode, let's click reference, because we want it to only scatter on the reference points. Let's grab a forest set, click and drag. Now we are going to go back into the forest pack parameters. The reference objects, let's click the plus sign and click on the forest set. So what I've done is I've got a forest pack right over there. I've created a geometry torus, added it right over there. Next is reference mode, and then I've made the reference object the actual forest set. So everything's going to be linked again to the forest set. Now what we need to do is click on the forest set. We say from layers, and right over here I'm going to type in the actual name of the layer. And as you can see, all of them are scattered on all the reference points that are inside this layer right over here. So you can see that circle 1, 2, 3, 4 everywhere is actually created. Now if I were to, for example, create another circle over there, that is not going to obviously get that scatter because it's only reading what is inside this layer over here. If I grab this item over here and I put it inside the actual layer, 1, 2, 3, click, you'll see that it immediately got updated. Now that's really handy. If you're going to import another CAD plan that has, let's say, another 100, 200 reference points, all you need to do is take all those reference points and put it in the correct layer, and then you're done. What we can do as well is add multiple layers. So underneath the forest set, let's click on that. Let's go to the modify tab right over there. I'm just going to put in a comma and then the actual name of the next layer and press enter, and there we go, working again perfectly based off more than one layer. If the layers were inside one another, meaning it's a parent and a child, I could do the following. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to grab the square layer and just click and drag it inside the circle, so you can see right now that it is a child inside the circle layer. Underneath the parameters over there, if we take ref square out and press enter, you'll see obviously that it's lost all of that. If I click import child layers, it now then gets updated. And then the lastly, disable set content will literally just switch it on and off for you.